Parents, what is the best, weird flex, but okay, moment you've seen from your child? Story 1. Had an Amber Alert hit my phone one night while my then 6-year-old was playing a game on it. She asks what that was, and I explained it's a message that gets sent out if a kid is getting kidnapped. She looks at it again and sees it's for a town over 2 hours from where we live. She then asks me why they sent it if it's so far away. I said because they want everyone to look and find the kid. Wouldn't you want everyone to look if you got kidnapped? They want to find the kid so they don't have their lives ended. She leans over close to my ear and whispers, "My life is very difficult to end." I had to mute the Amber Alerts on my phone. My son saw one when he was 5 years old and asked me about it, so I explained it. Every hour or two, for almost a week afterward, he'd ask me, "Did they find the kid yet? Mom, were you even looking at license plates when you were driving? You have to pay attention in case you see her." When her body was found, my poor kid was devastated. He still writes down the license number whenever he sees an Amber Alert on one of those LED road signs and sets it on the dash where I can see it. Sounds like he would make a great detective. Story 2. When my son was small, he kept a notebook full of tips. Tips like never wear a cowboy suit in Ireland, never stay at a hotel in the woods. When your parents ask you to do chores, pretend to be asleep and they'll forget. Always be good friends with a cousin. He has 38 first cousins, so no problem there. Always try really, hard. If you invent something, don't test it out with a live person. Don't pronounce mom like mom. Say mum. It'll be cooler. Be scared of the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Make your day better with seafood. Never say you're doing nothing to a parent. Never invite someone sick to your party. Don't use a pencil, on thick and fancy paper. Never fight in A1. Always get the best, biggest Beck. If you have a bad taste in your mouth at the beach, you may need mouthwash. Never eat nuts you find in your yard. There's 325 of these tips, and they're all awesome. Story 3. Just a couple days ago, my 2-year-old son woke up, so I went to change him. I pulled his jammy pants off, then went to undo the diaper, and the whole time he has this look on his face like he's waiting for something. I pull the diaper off in front of him, and bored, he's got a boner. He even smiled big and threw his arms up at the moment of reveal, like, ta-da! When I wasn't appropriately amazed and merely continued with changing him, he pointed at it and said, loudly and forcefully, "That's mine." Yes, my dear, that is your penis. Congratulations. I'm definitely going to try this move tonight. My wife will be thrilled. Mine did that to me, except he said, "Big wee wee." Story 4. My toddler just threw her dinner on the floor, started clapping, yelled, "Hooray!" her little lungs could possibly allow, then looked right at me, holding up her palm for a high five. Now that's a weird flex right there. This was just an example from tonight. She doesn't know the difference between right and wrong yet, or so she makes us believe, so everything is high five worthy in her worldview. Climbs up on the couch, high five. Pulls the cat's tail, high five. Give the dogs treats, high five. Tips over the pet water bowl, high five. Solve one of those kitty puzzles, high five. Cries indiscriminately over nothing, high five. Now that I think of it, high fives can be a great behavioral tool. Story 5. When my son was potty training, I started letting him do the cleanup, then I'd have to finish. After a bit of this, he figured he was pretty well good to go on his own, and he was very big boy about it. So for the next couple of weeks, he'd do his thing, which always included stripping naked, then come running out to wherever I was, bend over with his cheeks spread, and shout, "Hey Mom, I wiped my butt all by myself, look it." Mine can't do this, so she comes out and bends over with her poop-covered butt in the air, ready for me to wipe. Story 6. When my son was 5, a waitress at Applebee's asked him how old he was, to which he exclaimed, "I'm 5, and I pooped today." I think everyone within 4 tables of us was very impressed. My dad took my daughter out to eat once when she was 2, and the server asked if she was ready for ice cream, and she said, "No, I have poop coming." He just said, "Well, more room for ice cream then," which I think was pretty dope for someone being paid basically nothing to work at Applebee's. He took the poop ball and rolled with it, like a minimum wage dung beetle. Story 7. Not my kid, but a friend of mine was trying to teach his daughter to pick up her toys when she was younger. When she didn't do it one time, he told her he was going to throw away everything that was still on the floor. She picked them up and put them in the trash can for him. My kid did that. It's a dang power move. I mean, what do you even do in this situation? Throw them away. Okay, then what about the toys? I'm all about this method of parenting. Show them that there are natural consequences to their actions. If they treat their toys like junk strewn about on the ground, then show them that junk goes in the trash. If they refuse to eat their dinner, they don't get dessert, and if they get hungry later, then their dinner is still wrapped up in the fridge for them. Of course, this method only works for things like this if your kid doesn't call your bluff, because I don't know any parent that actually wants to throw away toys and be forced to buy new ones when there's nothing left to occupy their kid anymore. Story 9. So my 7-year-old has always been eccentric. I started keeping a log of some things she says in passing on my phone when she was 3, and there are some good ones I feel apply to this thread. Something smells like chocolate, and it's coming from the inside of my mouth. Yeah, well, I can read blank spaces. Chickens have chicken in their bodies. Most of these are responses to her older sister bragging about something she did to excel in school. Story 10. My son, who was 4 or 5 at the time, walked into the kitchen and said to my wife, "Give me my usual, but put it in a real glass." She's like, "What, your milk?" It was then we realized we had to rein in the iPad and curse of Monkey Island. 2% on the rocks, half a twist, and put some English on it. Story 11. My son, 4 at the time, was, I guess, trying to impress the 6-year-old neighbor girl. He leaned casually on his arm and said, "I have lots of accidents, pee and poop accidents. I hope for his sake his pickup lines improve. So, I heard you're into bad boys. Because I'm really bad at everything." Winks with both eyes at once. My brother tried to impress the girls next door by telling them he had head lice. Story 12. I remember being about 6 or 8 and bragging to multiple strangers about how my older, red-headed, and white sister, for context, I was a little brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown-skinned child, was my full-blooded sister, but had a different last name because I thought it was a cool fun fact about my family. Turns out she was a half-sibling, and nobody told me until I was older. Well, it is genetically possible, if that makes you feel better. Story 13. I'm a tutor, and a while back I had a 10-year-old student who said he had just learned the cool kid's way to write a 7. Good for you, little dude. Wait, what's the cool kid's way to write a 7? Edit. So apparently the cool kid's way to write a 7 is with a crossbar, like this. 7. But I've only ever seen it written that way by Europeans. Story 14. I ran around telling everyone I was the most beautiful girl in the world. I even told my mom's friend that Shirley Temple was almost as cute as me. Used up all my confidence at 3. My daughter, age 2, regularly comes up to me and puts the back of her head in my face. "See my hair?" "Yes, honey, I do." "It's beautiful." Runs off. Story 15. "Katie, you have to eat 3 more green beans before you're excused." "No, no more." 3 more. "I'm going to eat 4 more." "Oh no, you got me good." My son is good with this. "Okay, mate, 5 minutes till you have to hop out of the bath." "No, 3 minutes." "Righto." Story 16. My 10-month-old son hates being changed. Recently, he figured out that if he grabs his balls in a death grip with one of his hands, it makes it impossible to get the diaper on him. I die a little inside every time he does this. If you haven't already tried it, warming up the wipes will sometimes stop diaper changing hatred. Story 17. When my daughter was, I think, 8, we were in the pool throwing a beach ball around. I tossed it to her. She catches it, then says to me, "Is that all you've got, old man?" That's when you freaking spike it as hard as you can at her little face. "Are you freaking sorry?" Story 18. My son was in the tub and asked exactly how old he was. About 4 years, 10 months, and 4 days. After a few moments of deep thought, I heard him say quietly and reverently to himself, "And I haven't been bit by a single wild animal." Oh man, still kills me. Story 19. When my sister was younger, she told her teacher that my dad was a clown. He actually owns an auto body shop, but I guess she thought he was pretty funny. Apparently, the parent-teacher conference was hilarious. Your daughter tells us you're a clown. What an interesting career. Story 20. When I was 6, my absent father came back into my life briefly, and I paraded him around all of my friends, bragging, saying, "This is my dad. I bet you thought I didn't have a dad, but I did." He was gone again within a month. Kids really want a dad, don't they? Story 21. I was playing cops and robbers with my son and my niece, both about 3 at the time. They put me in the jail, the sofa, and proceeded to walk out of the room. As she's exiting, my niece turns to me with a deadpan face and goes, "Watch your back," then just leaves. I would take her advice. Story 22. Not a parent, but I teach swimming lessons. This one 5-year-old's first day of lessons was like, "I'm not very good at kicking." So I said, "Well, that's okay. Nobody's perfect at everything." Dead serious, he just goes, "No, I'm perfect at everything." Except kicking. Story 23. Not a parent, but as a kid, I apparently drank vinegar straight. My brother would do this. We had to hide the vinegar from him and all the salt because he would eat raw salt. I only drink vinegar on the rocks. Story 24. I'm the child here, but when I was maybe 3 or 4, I took a dump that was green, which was quite exciting to me at the time. I went and told my mom, I just had a poop that was green. And she just told me, next time, make me a blue one. The rare reversed flex. Story 25. Sassy niece, after first day in school, I learned how to count to 11D today. I bet you can't. Weird flex, but wait, I indeed cannot count to 11D. 11D is a fancy way of saying 110. Story 26. I'm 11 years older than my little brother, and when he was 4, he went around the entire neighborhood and wrote his name on everyone's garage doors in really big letters with a permanent marker. Story 27. My 4-year-old son kept peeing on the toilet seat because he wouldn't hold his penis. I told him he had to start holding it, and his response was, "I can't hold it because it's too big." What a Chad. Story 28. My 3.5-year-old was outside the other day. He was stabbing the ground with a stick. I asked, "What you up to, buddy?" "I'm digging holes for the ants to climb into." "That's so sweet of me, Mom." He's a nut. Story 29. My little boy is extremely proud of his ability to get the automatic soap foam dispenser to form a shaped form on his hand. He should be proud. That takes a tremendous amount of skill to do. Story 30. Not a parent, but when I was little, I had a child therapist, and I told her very happily, and even in a bragging tone, that I was only 8 years old, and I already had a training bra. And I remember her just looking at me for a while and going, "Okay." Story 31. My 6-year-old son recently put his foot down, letting me know it was not okay for me to tell him what he could wear or not, because he's allowed to have his own fashion. Okay, fine. Shorts, sandals, and 1 black sock. Story 32. While babysitting my cousin, she got really close to me and smelled like rotten eggs. So I asked her if she farted, and she immediately replied, "No, that's my bread." At least she's self-aware. Story 33. I was throwing my nieces in the pool, and the 4-year-old grabbed a pool noodle and looked right at me to say, "Today, you're gonna get hurt." Story 34. My 10-year-old son bragged the other day that his hair looked like Martin Freeman's. What the frick? Story 35. My nephew is 4 and thinks he's cooler than everyone else because he can tuck in his shirt by himself. Story 36. My 3-year-old said to me the other day, "Mom, I feel, and I don't feel," like some profound genius. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.